ഭാഷണം നടത്തുന്നു. അൽ ജസീറ, TRT വേൾഡ് തുടങ്ങിയ അന്താരാഷ്ട്ര മാധ്യമങ്ങളിലെ ഫ്രീലാൻഡ് ജേർണലിസ്റ്റ്, കർണാടകയിലെ ഹിജാബ്ധാരികളായ മുസ്ലിം വിദ്യാർത്ഥികൾക്ക് ക്ലാസിൽ പ്രവേശനം വിലക്കിയത് ആദ്യമായി റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്ത മാധ്യമ പ്രവർത്തകൻ, ത്രിപുരയിലെ മുസ്ലിം വിരുദ്ധ ആക്രമണങ്ങളെ കുറിച്ച് സമൂഹ മാധ്യമങ്ങളിൽ വാർത്തകൾ ഷെയർ ചെയ്തതിനെ തുടർന്ന് UAPA നോട്ടീസ് നൽകിയ മാധ്യമ പ്രവർത്തകൻ, ധീരനായ ഈ മാധ്യമ പ്രവർത്തകൻ സോൾഡാറ്റി മഹാസമ്മേളനത്തെ അഭിസംബോധന ചെയ്യുന്നു. We are honored to welcome Mr. Mir Faisal, journalist, Delhi, to our solidarity to the youth resistance, Uproot, Bulldozer, Hindutva and APARTHEID ZIONISM, who will sharing his insights on the challenges and struggles for freedom and justice. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to introduce to you our keynote speaker for today, Mr. Mir Faisal. Please join me welcoming him on this stage.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you for inviting me to speak today on a matter of utmost importance. It is with a heavy heart and a sense of responsibility that I address the pressing issue of injustice and discrimination faced by the Indian Muslim community, often symbolized by what has been referred to as Hindutva bulldozer justice. A few months back, thousands of buildings belonging to the Muslim community were razed to the ground using bulldozer in the name of justice in Haryana. The concept of bulldozer justice was the brainchild of Yogi Adityanath, the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. It's a term that we now associate with him, bulldozer justice. This bulldozer was not confined to one state. It was soon transported to the Madhya Pradesh, where it has become a tool for conveying political messages. Yogi Adityanath, a man known as Bulldozer Baba, in his 2022 Uttar Pradesh Legislative Assembly election campaign took this narrative event further. Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, also embraced the bulldozer, mirroring the approach seen in Uttar Pradesh. The consequences were dire. Following crashes in Khargon, 16 houses and 29 shops belonging to the Muslims were demolished by the Chauhan's government. Saffron-clad people were let loose in Muslim locality across 8 states, raising provocative slogans, abusing Muslims, and even calling for genocide. They desecrated mosques and mazars. At several places, Muslims resisted, defending their homes and places of worship from these attacks. But the next day, they were labeled stone pelters by the Hindutva media. Reminiscent of the Kashmiri youth, and their homes were bulldozed by the government. This concept of bulldozer justice began from Khargon in Madhya Pradesh, where Muslims had reportedly resisted Hindu zealots from an alleged attempt to desecrate mosques and attack Muslims. The State Home Minister Narottam Misra described this action as a form of revenge. The same happened in Delhi's Jahangirpuri locality when Muslim resistance rallies attempting to attack mosques. The following day, bulldozers were let loose by the BJP-controlled civic body in the name of justice. These demolitions are not isolated incidents, but part of a broader and deeply concerning trend. They underscore the systematic injustices and discrimination faced by the Indian Muslim community. This demolition have resulted in the displacement of countless families who have lost not only their home, but also in many cases their livelihoods. The tragic part of this story is that many of these buildings were constructed over generations, representing the hard work and effort of countless individuals. The destruction of these properties has effectively wiped out the labor of generations, leaving deep scars and profound sense of injustice within the affected communities. A According to Jamiyat Ulema Islamiyya plea to the Supreme Court, the construction which have been demolished left its residents stranded with no shelter or place to live, and individuals who lost their places work now have no way to earn livelihood. The organization said, and I quote, bulldozer operations are illegal. No matter whether bulldozers run on the property of people of any religion, the bulldozing of houses of the alleged accused, or simply because stones were allegedly pelted from such building, is like punishment before conviction, which is legally wrong. The bulldozer that have been deployed are more than just machines tearing down bricks and mortar. They are symbol of system that appear to be prioritizing a particular ideology over the fundamental principle of equality and constitutional rights. The term Hindutva bulldozer justice has emerged to define this trend, and it has deep-seated implications. It underscores a broader issue of discrimination and marginalization faced by minority communities in India, with the Muslim community at the forefront of these concerns. A cornerstone of any modern justice system is its resistance to arbitrariness and its role of safeguarding individuals from arbitrary government action. This executive branch is not entitled to impose punishment unilaterally. That authority rests with the court, which base their decision on evidence presented before them. Furthermore, a legal system outline principle and guideline to be adhered to even individuals faces charges. These include the right to a fair trial, the presumption of innocence, and ultimately the right to appeal. The practice of retributive demolition contradicts every principle of justice. It discredits the presumption of innocence, as the executive determines the punishment before the alleged offenders are even taken into the custody or their guilt is established. The punishment meted out deviates from established legal standard. Lastly, the act demolishing properties belonging to the accused individual can be likened to collective punishment, a relic of medieval justice that is expressly prohibited by the Geneva Convention. The state has the right to reclaim public property and address irregularities, but in order to demonstrate that state actions are not arbitrary, it must provide explanation of why it waited for the alleged offense to occur before initiating demolitions. It raises questions about the selective targeting of the houses of shops belonging to the accused while leaving others untouched. It's important to note that the state does not employ the same approach when dealing with all individuals accused of similar crime, such as rioting in these cases. In locations like Khargon, Ujjain, Jahangirpuri, and Nu, it is evident that Muslims have borne the brunt of the state action, reinforcing the perception of executive arbitrariness. Unsurprisingly, in each of these cases, there have been statements like, "We will bring down the houses of Reuters," made by the respective chief ministers or home ministers. The situation prompts us to look for a precedent. Are the BJP-ruled state drawing inspiration from a particular model, or is this an entirely indigenous approach? The nation that immediately come to mind, which has perfected the use of demolition as a punitive tool in a systematic matter, is Israel. For decades, Israel has demolished thousands of Palestinian homes, both within its recognized borders and in occupied West Bank, often citing a lack of required permission as the reason. It's well known that Israeli law makes it exceedingly challenging for Palestinian Arab residents to obtain building permits. More pertinent to our discussion, Israel has honed the practice of collective punishment against Palestinians who are accused of engaging in violence. A typical scenario involves bulldozers razing the home of an individual alleged to have participated in an attack on Israelis. Even when the said suspect has been killed or taken into custody, in some cases, entire neighborhoods or houses belonging to those suspected of aiding the fighters are also targeted. In the words of Michael Ling, a UN special reporter in the Palestinian territories, Israel's strategy to control the Palestinian population violates a foundational rule of virtually even modern legal system. Only the guilty can be punished for their acts, and only after a fair process. The innocent can never be made to be punished for the deed of others. The role of the judiciary in the matter has proven to be deeply disappointing. In the case of Jahangir Puri, the Supreme Court's consideration seems limited to the immediate issue at hand, failing to address the broader concerns of arbitrariness and collective punishment. The High Court of Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh showed little interest in the matter, missing the opportunity for timely intervention that might have curbed the executive tendency to abuse its authority. In the case of Khargon demolitions, the victims are still waiting for compensation, with their matter unresolved in the Madhya Pradesh High Court. As of the current moment, it was the Punjab and Haryana High Court that first takes suo motu notice and halted further demolition in Nu. However, by then much of damage had already been done. In the Hindutva narrative, Muslims are increasingly portrayed as the sole culprit committing crimes, which conventionally aids the BJP in consolidating its majoritarian electoral base. Concepts like love jihad and presented as part of deliberate conspiracy by Muslim youth to seduce Hindu innocent girl and polygamy, maltreatment of wives through instantaneous divorce and forced conversion are all depicted as crime that the Muslim man specializes in. Given the never-ending cycle of demolition carried out under police protection, it becomes imperative to once again turn to the doors of the Supreme Court for recourse. While it's true that the Haryana High Court temporarily halted the demolition in Nu, near Gurugram on August 8, there's no certainty that all high courts will consistently exhibit similar autonomy. The High Court's order halting demolition is significant for several reasons. First, it's a result of the court's suo motu action, indicating that the judge collective felt compelled to intervene due to what was transpiring. Second, the order reference Haryana Home Minister Anil Vij's statement that the bulldozers are part of the ilaj treatment that the government is employing during its investigations and action. Third, the judge has invoked Lord Action famous dictum, power tends to corrupt and absolute power corrupt, absolutely suggesting the arrogance has become a defining characteristic of the current regime. And four, perhaps the most crucial aspect, the judges raised the questions of whether this demolition were tantamount to an exercise of ethnic cleansing being conducted by the state. These words don't esteem for either the opposition or the ruling party, but are observation made by the esteemed High Court judges. The Indian Muslim community has greatly contributed to the national culture and economic growth. Their achievements are woven into tapestry of India's history. Yet it is heartening to witness how these contributors are often overshadowed by the discrimination and inequality they continue to face. The term Hindutva bulldozer justice underscores a worrying trend where its principle of secularism and equality enshrined in India constitutions appear to be overshadowed by a more divisive and discriminatory ideology. The government's role in this incident and its approach to justice come under intense scrutiny. We must ask ourselves what kind of society we aspire to be. A just society is one that upholds the principle of equality, fairness, and constitutional rights. It is a society where every citizen, regardless of their religious or ethnic background, can live in peace and harmony. The recent event indicates that India is at crossroad, where it must choose between inclusivity and justice or one of division and discrimination. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mir Faisal, for your powerful and insightful speech. Your words have inspired to us. Continue to stand in solidarity with the people.